Good evening, you're watching Newsplus right here on ZTN Prime with me, Wadanai Sansole. These are your headlines. President Mnangagwa has arrived in Moscow to participate in the 80th Victory Day celebrations, marking Russia's victory over Nazi Germany in World War II. Our correspondent Kudabwititi, who traveled with the president, will be joining us live with updates. We shall be crossing live to the Vatican for the latest on the election of the new Pope of the Roman Catholic Church. Authorities and players in the public transport sector are optimistic that a new tracking system, which has been put in place to monitor buses on the country's roads, will help reduce accidents. Details on the system here on Newsplus. Uncapped Somerset batter James Rew has replaced the injured Jordan Cox in the England squad for their one-off test against Zimbabwe later this month. That story and more as we look at sports news. President Mnangagwa has arrived in Moscow to participate in the 80th Victory Day celebrations, marking Russia's triumph over Nazi Germany in World War II. Accompanying the president are Foreign Affairs and International Trade Minister, Professor Eamon Murira, Finance, Economic Development and Investment Promotion Minister, Professor Mthuli Ncube, and other senior government officials. Upon arrival, the president was welcomed by Mikhail Bogdanov, Russia's Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs for Africa and the Middle East, along with Zimbabwe's ambassador to Russia, Mark Gray Marongwe. During his stay, President Mnangagwa will join numerous other heads of state for the May 9th celebrations, with 29 world leaders expected to attend this significant event. Our correspondent Kudabwititi is in Russia and joins us live.
President Emmerson Mnangagwa arrived in Moscow earlier today to attend the 80th Victory Day celebrations that commemorate Russia's triumph over Nazi Germany in World War II in 1945. He was accompanied by Foreign Affairs and International Trade Minister Professor Eamon Murira, Finance, Economic Development and Investment Promotion Minister Professor Mthuli Ncube, and other senior government officials. Russia's Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs responsible for Africa and the Middle East, Mikhail Bogdanov, and Zimbabwe's chief diplomat to Russia, Ambassador Mark Gray Marongwe, received President Mnangagwa at the airport. Later on, after his arrival, the president joined other VVIP guests at a high-level reception hosted by Russia's President Vladimir Putin. Tomorrow morning, President Mnangagwa will join several other heads of state at the May 9 Victory Day celebrations. Russia's government has said 29 world leaders are expected for the high-profile event that will be highlighted by military parades and a speech by President Putin. Zimbabwe and Russia enjoy cordial and comprehensive relations on the political arena. In an interview with Zimbabwean journalists last night, Foreign Affairs and International Trade Minister Professor Murira said the visit to Moscow will enable Harare to strengthen trade and economic ties with Russia, building on strong political relations between the two countries.
And now to further discuss President Mnangagwa's visit to Russia, we are joined by Zim Paper's group political editor, Ranga Matari. Good evening, Ranga. Ranga, what is the significance of the president's attendance in the context of Zimbabwe's re-engagement drive?
I think the attendance by President Mnangagwa of the 80th victory celebration in Russia, its triumphant victory against the Nazi Germany is very critical. It is very critical because you are aware that the victory symbolized the end of the Second World War, which cost a lot of lives. So the victory is very critical the world over, the globe over, because it signaled the end of conflict, peace, the end of senseless killing of people, and the coming of peace into the world. But more fundamental in terms of Zimbabwe, the attendance by President Mnangagwa is a show of solidarity for a country that has stood by Zimbabwe during, before, during, and after the liberation struggle. As you are aware, Russia, supported the liberation struggle in many ways, including training and also in terms of resources. So the attendance is very critical in that respect. It is also critical in that, given the current geopolitical situation in terms of the global politics, it is important that Zimbabwe, shows its support for a country that is a very, critical, global player in terms of both the United Nations Security Council. You are aware that in most cases, Russia has voted in favor of Zimbabwe, and so it is very critical, given the fact that also Zimbabwe is, a candidate for a non-permanent seat in the United Nations Security Council.
Now, Ranga, we have seen a number of world leaders converging in Moscow. How important is the Victory Day to the present-day world?
The day is very important to the present situation or to the global, the current global landscape. Like I alluded before, the end of the Second World War signaled development, progress, peace, and therefore the marking of the victory celebration by Russia signaled or is a symbolical show or a symbolical gesture to show to the world, one, Russia's capacity in terms of military capacity, Russia's willingness to fight for peace and tranquility, to fight for an equal world where no one will be judged based on their skin color or anything. You are aware what the Nazi was all about, Nazi Germany was all about. So I think it is very critical, like I said before, that this day continues to be marked as a day that should never return, or that we should never go back to a situation of the Second World War, which cost a lot of lives, retarded development, and so forth.
So, Ranga, when we turn to Harare-Moscow relations, which areas of cooperation can the two pursue to further strengthen their ties?
But on a very, interpersonal level between Harare and Moscow, you might be aware that Zimtrade recently signed an MOU with its similar body in Russia, in which they were, looking at economic frameworks in terms of cooperation in various fields. You might also be aware that currently Russia has some investment in mining. Rosa, one of the biggest diamond mining companies in the world, currently has some investment in Zimbabwe. But there are other areas that Zimbabwe and Russia can cooperate besides mining. Zimbabwe is a producer of tropical, foods like fruits and so forth. That can also be another area that the two countries can work on. The two countries can also work in terms of, geo space. For example, Russia is known for its, space, initiatives. So there could be also an avenue for that.
Thank you very much, Ranga, for sharing your insight with us here on Newsplus on the significance of the President's attendance at this event. Now, China's permanent representative to the United Nations, Fu Kong, has called on all UN member states to safeguard the victorious outcome of World War II, practice true multilateralism, and cement the foundation of world peace and development. Fu made a call at the United Nations General Assembly special solemn meeting in commemoration of all victims of World War II.
联合国为维护世界和平、促进共同发展发挥了重要的作用，同时也需要与时俱进，不断改革完善。形势越是动荡，国际社会越是要团结起来，支持联合国在国际事务中发挥核心作用。个别国家对联合国合则用，不合则弃，动辄毁约退群，欠费断供，试图将一己之私凌驾于国际公利之上，其所作所为不得人心，最终必将以失败告终。
Ruling ZANU-PF party president and First Secretary Emmerson Mnangagwa has not expelled any members despite recommendations from provinces. Party spokesperson Chris Muchangwa announced this at a news conference today. The news conference follows a Politburo meeting held yesterday before the president headed to Russia for the country's Freedom Day celebrations. This decision comes despite calls for the expulsion of individuals such as Shadrach Mashaya-Mombe, the former Harare South legislator.
He does not want rumor mongering and the other malfeasances, nefarious activities to divide the membership of the party. So he was very, very careful in making sure that we don't have gratuitous expulsions in the party, which would then make divide the people and at the same time weaken the party through unnecessary acrimony. So nobody yesterday, according to the reports which had come from the disciplinary committee, nobody was expelled.
The ZANU-PF spokesperson also revealed that South African traditional leader Bulelani Khumalo, who recently visited Bulawayo, reached out to the party to clarify that his trip was not intended to cause trouble. He said instead Khumalo's visit aimed to honor the cultural ties between his people and the Ndebele people of Zimbabwe. Khumalo's visit last month included a meeting with the Bulawayo mayor, David Coltert.
He says, no, I didn't come to cause problems in Zimbabwe. I came there because of the cultural affinity between the two peoples of Zimbabwe and South Africa. This is a good thing. Of course, it is Coltert who was trying to abuse him, to try to use him for tendentious issues about the cohesiveness of Zimbabwean society. So he distanced himself from Coltert.
We now have an update on the conclave. White smoke billowed from the Sistine Chapel's chimney this afternoon, announcing the election of a new leader for the world's 1.4 billion Catholics. Crowds in St. Peter's Square erupted in cheers as bells pealed from the towering basilica, confirming that the 133 cardinal electors who have been sequestered inside since Wednesday had reached a 2/3 majority decision on who will succeed Pope Francis. The new pope has been revealed as Robert Prevost of the U.S., the first American pontiff in history. He'll be known as Pope Leo XIV. Prevost, aged 69, from Chicago, Illinois, is a leader with global experience. He spent much of his career as a missionary in South America and served as bishop in Peru. He most recently led a powerful Vatican office for bishop appointments and is expected to build on Pope Francis' reforms. Now, when Newsplus returns, we'll give you more updates on what's happening locally.
Stuck on you. Ooh, obsessed with you. I'm obsessed.
With Showmax, your favorite characters now follow you anywhere. Download it today and watch the best in local, international, and everything in between.
Warm up, get cozy, and shake off the winter chill with ZTN Prime's sizzling new shows. First up, we visit tiny spaces and hang out with the little ones on Happy Sprouts. This latest addition to the ZTN Kids block shows off talent and fun school events across Zimbabwe. Be sure to also catch more fun on Magic Adventures, The Crystal Dark, and Chi Chi Ping Ping Fantasy Adventure. The dynamic suspects of Zimbabwean comedy are back to better your evenings. Laugh out loud with family and friends on Tini Nechikwata.
Security! Call security! This is a disaster!
And our new game show, Game Changers Zimbabwe, refreshes your night viewing. Learn all about starting your business. With sharp contestants and a panel of celebrity executives, the show holds much for you.
For $50,000, you have to have a game-changing idea.
We are here asking for $50,000 in return of 30%. Started this journey with only $23.50.
Don't miss another one of our reality shows, Heartbeats, shot straight from hospital theaters. Get face-to-face with top cardiothoracic surgeons as they perform open heart surgery. Dig into our menu of intriguing programming, which also comes with new and exciting episodes of Village Court, Munava Mune, Drug Haven, Sungura Chronicles, Most Wanted, exclusive interviews, and many more. Come along, grab a hot cuppa and enjoy ZTN Prime's new season programming.
You are watching Thursday's edition of Newsplus, and we're broadcasting live from Harare. Now, in a bid to reduce road traffic accidents and save lives, a new tracking system to monitor speed limits on public transport has been launched. The new device will operate from Harare Central Police Station, where relevant stakeholders will be involved. More in the following report.
Zimbabwe has in recent years recorded a rise in road traffic accidents, especially during public holidays. This has been attributed to speeding, reckless driving, among other issues. To save lives, stakeholders have come together with a common goal to reduce road accidents. A new system has been put in place, a tracking device for public transporters to be operated from Harare Central Police Station.
Zimbabwean transport system, we have managed to reduce our speed from around 140 kilometers per hour, which most of the buses were traveling. Our speed wasn't governed. But through the statutory instrument 118 and the cooperation of the VID and the police, we have managed to reduce the speeds to 100 kilometers per hour.
When a bus exceeds the limit, immediate alerts are sent to drivers and control centers. The process will also involve the Vehicle Inspection Department.
Operating a fleet of omnibuses or trucks is required by law to fit a speed limiting device on the vehicle.
Officer Commanding Harare Province Commissioner Maxwell Chikunguru has welcomed the donation, urging all bus operators to comply with the road safety regulations. He emphasized that road safety is a shared responsibility.
Focusing on rejuvenating the speed monitoring machine, a strategy that was ably given to us by the Zimbabwe Passenger Transport Organization. I'm told since its inception, it has yielded a lot of benefits, but we've seen it fit so that we meet for the purpose of rejuvenating it and probably highlight some issues that need improvement.
The Traffic Safety Council of Zimbabwe has indicated that most buses have become death traps due to high speeds, and the tracking device comes as a positive development.
More than 41,000 accidents occurring annually, and about 2,000 deaths recorded year in, year out. We have found it very imperative to come up with a traffic management system.
ZUDCO Commuter Services Association President Frederick Magura Minga says, for the new system to succeed, drivers who violate it should be arrested.
But mainly we were discussing about the speed monitoring device, where a bus has to be monitored, the driver being monitored, and after violating, the driver or the bus is impounded. But it is also our desire to see also speed governing devices being actually put in buses.
Road safety is a shared responsibility, and driving to arrive is the goal. Will the coming in of this new tracking system help make the country's roads safer? Only time will tell.
In a significant development in the fight against corruption and environmental degradation, the Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Commission, ZAC, and the Environmental Management Agency, EMA, have joined forces to combat land barons and illegal miners. Today, the two institutions signed a memorandum of understanding aimed at eradicating corruption in environmental governance. ZAC chairperson Michael Reza has expressed determination to protect the country's wetlands from exploitation and vowed to adopt zero tolerance to environmental corruption.
In Zimbabwe, criminal syndicates who have come to be known as land barons have invaded wetlands, are illegally selling these to unsuspecting housing land seekers. Wetlands are a vital ecosystem service for water regulation, flood control, and carbon sequestration that contributes to a healthy planet and human well-being. As ZAC, we are handling several cases of illegal selling of lands, and we are on the lookout for more.
Now, this partnership will enable ZAC and EMA to share intelligence, coordinate investigations, and take joint enforcement actions against individuals and organizations that have been found to be exploiting the country's natural resources. It is also expected to send a strong message to land barons and illegal miners that they will no longer be tolerated.
Both the agency and the commission play a key role in ensuring the livelihood of both the present and the future generations of our country. The responsibility that we have been given through this memorandum of understanding is one of great importance, and I pledge that my team and I will approach it with the requisite vigor, agency, and the efficiency needed to ensure a clean, safe, and healthy environment for all citizens of Zimbabwe, as enshrined in Section 73 of the Constitution of Zimbabwe.
Now, from that story on the environment, we now take a look at parliamentary issues. Zimbabwe and Azerbaijan are working on collaborations that will see the two countries unlocking economic opportunities. This came out during a courtesy call on Speaker of Parliament Jacob Mudenda from Azerbaijan parliamentarians at the Parliament of Zimbabwe earlier today. Head of delegation Zah Shukurov said they have productive discussions which were focused on enhancing parliament and business cooperation.
We had very productive meetings, of course, with the Honorable Speaker of the Parliament of Zimbabwe, with the Chairperson of the Committee of International Relations and the Chair of the Association of Azerbaijan Azerbaijan-Zimbabwe Friendship Association. We have very productive discussion on the various issues of mutual interest. So I can say that it's the first step, not just to cooperate, to enhance our relationship, not just in the field of the interparliamentary cooperation, as well as other fields of, as I mentioned, mutual interest. I hope after our visit we can witness the cooperation between our entities, be it in the industry, agriculture, or other various fields of the interest. And I think the businesses of the both countries should be.
The UN Women Executive Board has commended the ongoing work in the small to medium enterprises cluster in Bulawayo, praising the individuals spearheading the project. During a meeting with Bulawayo Municipal Executive's UN Women Executive Board Chair, Nicola Claes, Ambassador and Permanent Representative of Sweden to the United Nations, described the SME cluster as vibrant, noting its significant support for women in the informal sector and pledged continued support for similar projects.
And overall, it's been a very impressive program, and we're extremely grateful to UN Women. For us, it's also very important to have an opportunity to see UN Women's work in the field. So for us to both in Harare, but also here to have a chance to see, as was the case this morning, not least the safe markets and understand the importance of the safe markets. But we have there's so much that UN Women does here in Zimbabwe in collaboration with partners here in the country that are very impressive. And for us to go back, we're going to have an annual board meeting in June, and I think that our reflections and impressions from Zimbabwe will very much be presented and reflected upon, as I said, at the meeting.
Now, local government minister Daniel Garwe has announced that the Traditional Leaders Act is undergoing a review to ensure alignment with the country's constitution. Minister Garwe made the announcement during the installation of Chief Nyakuchena in Mudzi yesterday. More from the following report.
The installation of Keith Chimbangu as Chief Nyakuchena coincided with May commemorations of Culture Month in Zimbabwe. Addressing the multitudes of people who attended the event, local government minister Daniel Garwe announced plans to review the Traditional Leaders Act, aiming to harmonize it with the constitution and potentially enhance the authority of traditional leaders across the country.
Kuti inofanirwa kuti iongororwe yakanangana nebumbiro remutemo kuitira kuti pane pachitonga madzimambo achiisa mitemo yawo inenge iri maringe nezviri mubumbiro remutemo. Mitemo iyoyo ndingada kukuzivisai kuti iri kuongororwa neministry yelocal government. Ndinofunga patinosvika kupera kwaJuni tinenge tapedza kugadzirisa izvozvo zvaenda kumatare makuru anonokwenenzvera akafanana nedare reparliament.
About 7 chiefs' installations are pending and slated for this month. Chairperson of the Mashonaland East Province Traditional Leaders Council, Chief Nechombo, says the council is eager to welcome new members. He also welcomed the youthful newly installed Chief Nyakuchena, stating that the council is ready to collaborate with him to drive development for the benefit of the people.
Mambo Nyakuchena tichiti Mwari nevadzimu wenyu vazokuchengetei patichafamba tiri pamwe chete tiri pahoche koche nehurumende yedu yeZimbabwe munyaya dzedevelopment, munyaya dzekuchengetedza tsika dzingave tsika dzinobatika netsika dzimwe dzatisingakwanise kubata, asi semadzimambo tiri kunzwa kufara.
Keith Chimbangu's appointment as Chief Nyakuchena was approved by President Emmerson Mnangagwa in December last year, filling the vacancy left by a late chief. The newly installed chief says he is ready to work with all stakeholders to drive development, including those who initially opposed his appointment.
Ndinotarisira kunge tichishanda zvakare nema business community, ma-investor edu akatikomberedza nekuti iyo nzvimbo ino yakatenderedzwa nemukute kusvika kwose kunana makaha. Saka tinotarisira kuvhurwa kwenzira dzose anoti ma-access roads.
Among his top priorities are renovating Nyakuchena Primary School and attracting investors to build a clinic. The chief also aims to engage multinational companies operating in his area, encouraging them to give back to the community through initiatives such as road infrastructure development.
Asi ndinotarisira kushanda nani zvake mudunhu muno, hakuna anosara kumashure nekuti tiriwe mhuri imwe chete. Zvakare mungada kuziva kuti umambo hune kudhonzerana, asi ini ndakazvipira kuzoshanda zvakare neavo vaidhonzera vachiti umambo hungangoenda kwavo, asiwo madzimambo anogadzwa naMwari.
With Chief Nyakuchena's installation, the traditional leadership in Mudzi continues its rich heritage, where chieftaincies are passed down through birthright and alternate between designated families. Shera Munjenjema for ZTN News in Mudzi.
Government has pledged to release more resources towards funding the Zimbabwe Republic Police's enforcement activities to ensure that it is fully capacitated to safeguard the economy. Delivering a lecture on devolution and whole of government approach to senior police officers at Mkushi Training Camp in Harare on Wednesday, Secretary for Presidential Affairs and Devolution in the Office of the President and Cabinet, Engineer Tafadzwa Muguti, said without that, the police might think they are not actually involved in economic development processes. Engineer Muguti indicated that money laundering, unregulated trading and other corruption-related offences are barriers to economic growth.
you will find that currently we have a lot of white-collar crime, we have a lot of money laundering that is going on, we have a lot of economic espionage which is being perpetrated right now by largely the 30% of the citizenry which is not paying for their taxes. And if we educate and empower the Zimbabwe Public Police more, put up policies, acts of parliament which empower them more, we can be able to proactively safeguard our economic development trajectory. We need to have an orderly investment climate. This habit of people just building wherever they want, trading wherever they want, just taking land whenever they want is something which has basically discouraged many investors of coming into the country. You look at the chaos right now within most districts in terms of artisanal mining. People are moving around with machetes, and it is up to the Zimbabwe Public Police to bring sanity to the mining sector, to bring sanity into some of these areas where people are crossing borders illegally and so forth. And once they do that, any investor feels safe to be in Zimbabwe.
You're watching Newsplus. South African police have intercepted a cigarette smuggling operation at the Groblersburg border, seizing 1.4 million rand worth of cigarettes coming from Zimbabwe and arresting 3 suspects. The syndicates had shifted from Beitbridge to the South Africa-Botswana border after increased surveillance. And cigarette smuggling from Zimbabwe to South Africa has become widespread, with an estimated 30% of South Africa's cigarettes originating from Zimbabwe smuggled through illegal crossing points along the Limpopo River.
The estimated value of seized contraband is 1.4 million. The truck and trailers, valued at approximately 800,000, were also confiscated as part of investigation. The suspects are scheduled to appear before Palala Magistrate Court on Thursday, 8th May 2025, to face charges related to smuggling of illicit goods. Commenting on the operation, the Provincial Commissioner of Police in Limpopo, Lieutenant General Tembi Hadebe, has praised the officers' diligence.
Now, Egypt's sovereignty and management over the Suez Canal are beyond dispute. This was said by a Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman commenting on U.S. President Donald Trump's recent remarks on rights over the Panama and Suez Canals. And in a post on the Truth Social platform, Trump called for free transit for American commercial and military ships through the Panama and Suez Canals, a stance that has drawn strong opposition from Egypt.
埃及对苏伊士运河的主权和管理运营权无可争议，我们坚定支持埃及政府和人民捍卫主权和正当权益，反对任何的霸凌言行。
From a record $9.4 billion annual revenues earned in the 2022-23 fiscal year to a drop of 25% in revenues the following year has now pushed the Suez Canal revenue.
Brazilian agricultural leaders and economists warned that the recent U.S. tariff policy risks depressing global agricultural growth as concerns over trade protectionism dominated a major farming conference in Sao Paulo. With increasing uncertainties, countries around the world should make greater efforts to strengthen trade cooperation in agricultural products.
Afeta transporte de bens, afeta transporte marítimo, afeta sistema financeiro. Então são impactos muito maiores do que simplesmente a exportação de bens, e que nós também temos impactos indiretos nisso.
A política do Trump é difícil de entender, porque ela não faz sentido nem para os objetivos.
According to the Houthi-run health authorities, Yemen was hit by another round of intensive Israeli airstrikes, which targeted the capital Sana'a and the northern province of Amran, killing 7 and injuring 97 others. The attacks struck Sana'a's international airport, inflicting heavy damage on power plants and 2 other military sites.
هذا الأهداف مكررة القصف دائما تعودنا عليه لن يغير موقفنا لن نترك غزة لن نتخلى عن مناصرة فلسطين حتى لو قصفوا بنووي.
العدوان الإسرائيلي اليوم على اليمن لن تؤثر ولا يمكن أن تهز فينا شعره. عملنا مستمر، صواريخنا ستصل، عملياتنا ستضرب حتى يتوقف العدوان ويرفع الحصار عن إخواننا في غزة.
Pomona expected to ease electricity outages. That story and more in business.
The Phoenix Podcast has always brought you the best of the best.
I missed on that blessing, but I also regained it in some way.
In seasons 1 and 2, we introduced you to the industry's brightest stars, the ones at the top of their game, the creme de la creme. But season 3 promises to be even more exciting. We're bringing you even more fascinating guests, including the renowned farmer, Patrick Matadi. And to top it all off, our very own host, Ken Sharp, will be stepping out of the interviewer's chair and into the hot seat as he gets interviewed by a surprise guest host.
From the boss, we've been beaten, but we're not beaten yet. We can still rise.
Konapo Konapo, Ipapo Ipapo, by ZTN Prime, DSTV channel 294, the place to be.
Thank you for staying tuned to Newsplus. We now give you updates on the stories making the headlines in the business world. Pomona, one of Harare's largest waste management projects, has pledged to officially provide electric power to residents by 2027, addressing the city's significant challenges of power outages. During a tour led by the special advisor to the president, Dr. Joram Gumbo, Pomona CEO Delish Ngwaya emphasized the company's progress in converting waste into energy. Dr. Gumbo praised the transformation of the site, highlighting its potential to alleviate Harare's electricity shortages. This innovative approach aims to turn waste into a valuable resource, providing a sustainable solution to the city's power needs.
The generation of electricity, okay, it's very, very important for us. And also the management of the waste itself is very, very important because, as you know, if this waste is left unmanaged, it can even cause a lot of diseases, to our people, and that will mean, a burden to government, to manage, the health sector. Besides water, some of the waste that you can get if it is not managed across Harare, it will also filter into Lake Chibero, Lake Darendel and so forth, and it will also cause a lot of damage to our drinking water, to our fish, animals in the area. So this is actually a milestone for Zimbabwe.
Now, Pomona CEO Delish Ngwaya highlighted the company's significant progress in converting waste to energy, a key focus area of their waste management initiatives at the facility.
As we are aware that we take over from City of Harare in 2022, April, and we commence the works here in May 2022. So if you calculate the time, we are within the timeline. So by 2027, we will finish the first line of the waste-to-energy plant where we are going to generate electricity and feed to the national grid.
Gold export earnings rebounded in March 2025 to $246.87 million, up to 14% from February, ending a 3-month decline despite record global gold prices. This recovery was driven by a 9% rise in gold output, mainly from artisanal and small-scale miners. Now, large-scale miners continue to struggle due to structural issues, power blackouts, and underinvestment, with key players revising production targets downward. Speaking to ZTN Prime, a financial analyst Desire Muchipisi said one key area to focus on should be investment in alternative and renewable energy resources.
So while the macroeconomic environment presents an opportunity for profitability, there are local challenges such as unreliable electricity supply and foreign currency retention constraints. So I think one key area of focus should be investment in alternative and renewable energy sources, because the dependence on the national grid, which suffers from frequent outages and high tariffs, has proven to be a costly vulnerability. And I think also in a parallel, adopting modern mining technologies such as automation, digitalization, and real-time monitoring could significantly boost efficiency and reduce production costs. So these innovations also signal to investors as a commitment to global best practices and operational excellence.
Premier African Minerals is optimistic about securing a supply deal with commodities giant Glencore plc, which is crucial to salvaging its troubled Zulu lithium project and shoring up its balance sheet. The London-listed miner announced that it had signed a non-binding letter of interest with Glencore, and this deal would be strategically important to address challenges around its mounting debt. If successful, this could help Premier clear its $35 million liability to Canmax Technologies, a shareholder in the group, and regain its footing in the fast-growing battery metals sector. Now, up next, we'll give you an update on the inspiration behind Ja Praise's Ndini Mukuze.
It's time for the main event. This is incredible. He has written it. And the dream lives on! I cannot believe it!
Stay connected to DSTV this April and May and get all the football finals you want.
In a land where traditions run deep, where the soil holds the secrets of generations, and where dreams are sown alongside seeds, a new generation emerges. Welcome to Young Seeds. Get ready to embark on a journey like no other as we shine a spotlight on the dynamic and inspiring young farmers in the heartland of Zimbabwe.
I want to do it because plants will die, plants will get infected by diseases.
I tried to do mixed farming. That is also putting tomatoes. I have half a hectare of tomatoes.
Every 40 days, it has to be giving birth.
Produce a good quality fruit size. Calves are kept in different pens, basically so that they don't spread diseases to each other.
My name is Tariwa Sipauke. I'm a rabbit farmer.
These young farmers are revolutionizing traditional practices, embracing technology, and finding sustainable solutions that will shape the future of agriculture. So, let's get our hands dirty.
In our first entertainment story, Ja Praise's latest album, Dini Mukudze, has taken the music scene by storm. Trending on a streaming platform, it was released over the weekend. The 14-track album showcases Ja Praise's signature blend of traditional and contemporary sounds. Speaking on the title track, Dini Mukudze, the star said he was reflecting on his journey and his experiences, marking a new chapter in his career, and also stating that the 2-year wait for this release was actually worth it, as he aimed to craft a masterpiece.
Right, Dini Mukudze inotaura rwendo rwangu kunyanya, inotaura upenyu hwangu, inotaura kwandakabva. Ndakaita title track nepamusana pekuti ndiri munhu anodada nerudzi rwake, tsika dzedu dzechishona. So iri kutaura inini nezvandinobelieve. Ndakatora nguva iyoyo nekuti ndaida kunatsomeka sure kuti ndanatsoyedza nepesi pandogona kuita album rakanyatsopolishwa. Ndinodaira kuti ndakasvika ipapo ndisingazivi kuti vanhu apa ndine response yandiri kuona ndiri kufunga kuti ndakasvika pekuti ndakanatsomeka sure kuti album rangu riri well polished.
Now, about a year ago, European embassies and institutions in Zimbabwe came together to form the European Union National Institute for Culture, UNIC, Zimbabwe cluster, with a view to pooling resources and ideas to support a thriving cultural sector in the country and increase cultural exchange. This led to the birthing of Harmonies of Expression, a project that unites Zimbabwean and European artists through dance, music, food, photography, and fashion under the title Connecting Art, Heart, and Science.
UNIC Zimbabwe today consists of embassies of Sweden, France, Spain, Italy, the Netherlands, Romania, Portugal, Cyprus, as well as of the Alliance Française, the Zimbabwe-German Society, and the British Council in collaborative projects across a range of different areas, including dance, music, food, photography, fashion, and more. The project now encompasses
and it's actually more than that, because art and culture is also an industry. In Europe, it stands for 3% of our GDP and 4% of jobs. So it is an industry. And secondly, it's something else as well, because when you listen to music or you look at paintings or you look at fashion, which you have not seen before, you can have two reactions. You can embrace it or you can reject it. And it's a nice exercise to embrace it and be open for something which is different. And I think this is a lesson we could all learn from. Be open to things which are not like us, which are different.
UNIC is also partnering with the National Arts Council to support an inclusive cultural landscape in Zimbabwe.
Through all the artistic expressions that we have in the country is particularly exciting for us. The National Arts Council of Zimbabwe is in charge of all genres of art in the country, and we take this very seriously in terms of it becoming one of the platforms that is utilized to increase our impact in the country, and also looking at issues around cultural collaboration and climate change awareness. Zimbabwe has long been a nation rich in creativity with a vibrant heritage which resonates around music.
Exhibitions and activities will be open to the public throughout the day on Saturday at the National Gallery, and Swedish R&B artist Sherry will be performing together with Zimbabwean Mbira artist Nasibo, among other artists. Now, in another story still on entertainment, Walt Disney has announced plans to open its first theme park in the Middle East. The resort will be in the United Arab Emirates, UAE, on Abu Dhabi's Yal Island. This is a collaboration between Walt Disney and local leisure and entertainment company Miral.
The 7th Disney theme park resort destination represents a new frontier in theme park ambitions. Our resort in Abu Dhabi will be the most advanced and interactive destination in our entire portfolio. The location of our park is incredibly unique. It's anchored by a beautiful waterfront, which will allow us to tell our story.
Now, Roos replaces injured Cox for Zim, England test. That story in sport.
Dental checkups, experiments, games.
The mixture is making bubbles and the bubbles have changed color. Our balloon has been filled by carbon dioxide.
We have it all right here on Happy Sprouts. Catch us exclusively on ZTN Prime, DSTV channel 294.
Didn't graduate. I guess I blew it.
You couldn't advise him anything. He would just look at you and say, so who do you think you are?
We were just like really spoiled.
And then they just give me the receipt and I'd pay.
The guy walks in one day and then he says that he wants to make a movie.
He was blowing the money.
There was just like this habit that he had where as soon as he got money, it was gone.
I just didn't have the skills or the experience.
This money, I could see it disappear so fast.
Uncapped Somerset batter James Roux has replaced the injured Jordan Cox in the England squad for their one-off test against Zimbabwe later this month. The 21-year-old, in the form of his life for the county championship, was part of the England under-19 squad that reached the under-19 World Cup final in 2022. He also toured Australia with England last winter. Roux will link up with the squad for a training camp next week in preparation for the first test of the summer against Zimbabwe, which begins on 22 May at Trent Bridge. We now cross over to cricket enthusiast Brighton Jawi, who is based in the UK, to discuss more. Good evening, Jawi. How much of a blow is Cox's injury for England?
Good evening. Well, for me, the question would be, how much is this a blow to Jordan Cox himself? Because it's not the first time that he's been injured whilst on the verge of making his England debut. The same happened when he broke his finger in New Zealand and he missed out on what was a potential test debut for him, and now this happens as well. But for England as well, you'd think it's sort of a setback, but it opens a door for another player. In this case, it's the youngster James Roux, who happened to be part of the match. He was playing against Jordan Cox's team in the last round of the county championship games, and they both scored hundreds, so showing that these two guys are in top form. And for England, new youngster in this side, 21-year-old, has been doing well. This James Roux is now the youngest Englishman to score 10 first-class hundreds since Dennis Compton. So he's a youngster to look out for the future.
Brighton, this match is obviously a big deal for Zimbabwe. Could you tell us what the mood is like among fans based in the UK?
Yes, indeed, it's massive for Zimbabwe to be playing England for the first time since 2003, and it's just good for Zimbabwe's cricketing plans, and also just to be relevant as a full member of the ICC. And also, of course, for Zimbabwe, it's a big deal, but for England, it's the first test for their summer. It's a big year for them because they've got India coming in the summer. And then towards the year end, they will go to Australia to play the Ashes. And if you're a cricketing person, you know how big the Ashes is. So yes, for Zimbabwe, massive opportunity to play the top teams, something that the players and the country has been crying out for. But for England as well, they also want to start their season well. The mood, obviously, for England are favourites, no doubt about that. And people are just excited to be watching cricket. And also, but now, the thing is, will it be a competitive game? I think that's more of the talk around from the people that I'm talking to, the circles that I'm around. Will the game last the 4 days? Will it be competitive? We know England are favourites, but you never know. But that's just the reality on the ground.
Now, as we look at the Zimbabwean team, Raza is back for the test. Mzarabani is playing the game of his life. And now against Bangladesh, in the first innings, it looked like Zimbabwe have finally got a top order in place. What are Zim's chances against England?
Well, like I said, England are clear favorites just because of the quality, the rankings, and they are a top cricketing team, no doubt about that. So they are favorites to win this game. And Zimbabwe, they are confident because they won a test match in Bangladesh, but these are different conditions now, different team altogether. Yes, Raza is big, Mzarabani is playing well, that experience is important, and I believe Mzarabani will cause some problems. He has played in the county, he knows the conditions as well. He's a guy we believe will cause problems for the England top order. I believe he'll pick wickets, but in terms of Zimbabwean chances, I think for me, the first thing is make the game competitive. Take the game to day 4. If you can put England under pressure, do so. Sustained pressure and take it from there, because you saw in Bangladesh second test, the pressure, Zimbabwe could not deal with the pressure, but they did well in the first test to win it. So the experience is good. Raza is big, Sean Williams, Craig Evans, and the Victor Nyauchi and all those guys. But for me, I think just make it a competitive game. That's the expectation around. If it's competitive, that's a success for Zimbabwe. If they win, that will be the upset of all time in cricketing history and in sport history, to be fair.
Thank you very much and good night to you. Now we go over to soccer. Highlanders coach Kelvin Kayindu is hoping that his team maintains momentum to subdue FC Platinum in their blockbuster clash this weekend. Kayindu is expecting another tough test and hopes his team can show the progress that they've made from match day 1 in the fixture.
The litmus test that is coming is against the FC Platinum. Last season, this is the team that we failed to beat. They beat us both home and away. Looking at the league this season, they haven't started very well in terms of the pedigree that they have, but despite the number of draws that they have picked, they still remain unbeaten. That shows they may get the rhythm anytime, but we are also a bit aware that they have been consistent in terms of playing. They are not scoring much, they are also not conceding much. So it's just a matter of time that they may begin to get their ground and start moving. We respect our opponents and we know that they are reigning champions. They've been there in the system for quite some time. Like I said earlier on, I think in my earlier sentiments, that last season we lost, I think, if I'm not mistaken, 2-0, 2-1 at PF. We went on to lose 1-0 at Mandava. They beat us, I think, twice. That shows that they are tactically, technically, they were superior than us, but we want to use this game probably to gauge ourselves.
Highlanders is coming from back-to-back wins in the season and face FC Platinum, who are the only unbeaten team in the league. Kayindu will once again count on his forward line to carry on their good form after picking up a decent scoring run.
Yes, it did. I think the goals came at the right time. The victory also came at the right time. I think we've been struggling to pick up maximum points away from home, and we managed to pick them in the game against the Yada. The good thing is, I think, if we look at the statistics that we had last season, I think we failed to maximize points against Bikita and Yada, and this season already we have picked maximum points against Bikita, we've picked maximum points against the Yada. That shows that there is an improvement. Scoring 2 goals also, it shows that we are consistent in terms of scoring. We also showed a lot of resistance and improvement in terms of keeping a clean sheet. We responded quite well. We were quite positive in the game against the other that we scored in the first minute, a goal which was disallowed. Within a minute again we responded and scored, and we've showed a lot of combination in terms of going forward. I think we have been quite good from our strikers, that if one has not scored, is creating for the other striker.
Ian Bakala has taken over as head coach at Caps United after the attempt to lure Tekshua Chiragwi from Gezi Platinum hit a snag. The Harare Giants have since released a statement confirming the Zambian, their former player, to be assisted by Alexio Sijian. The move follows the elevation of Lloyd Chitemwe to technical director after a string of poor results. And still in the Premier League, unconfirmed reports say Saul Chaminuka has left newcomers Kwekwe United. Chaminuka is now being linked with a move to Dynamos, where coach Lloyd Chigoe has been struggling to turn the fortunes of Dynamos. And that's a wrap on Newsplus this Thursday evening. Thank you very much for watching. Good night from myself, Wazanai Sansole.